This is early spring in the Pacific Northwest. It usually starts with a slow, committed gray that settles over the tree lines and makes the world look like it was photographed through a smudged lens. For Abby, a remote programmer who had been scrolling through real estate listings for months, the search parameters were incredibly strict. She needed a multi-generational setup, specifically 4 bedrooms, so her aging mother could have her own space without feeling managed. Take a look at this picture. This is Odin, Abby's Akita. A dog that size requires a large enclosed backyard. Without it, a property didn't even make her shortlist. Which brings us to this house, a 2-story craftsman in Richfield, Washington. It was priced at the absolute top of her budget, but with a sprawling yard and exactly 4 bedrooms, it checked every single box. By the time she finally pulled her car to the curb for her Thursday afternoon tour, the rain had fully set in. But stepping inside, guided by an agent named Tom, the house felt immediately welcoming. It smelled faintly of cedar, untouched by the weather outside. The main floor was exactly what the listing promised: original hardwood floors, a deep riverstone fireplace, and generous solid square footage. She snapped a few quick pictures to send to her mom. Because the physical layout matched her rigid checklist so perfectly, her guard dropped. The house made absolute logical sense, and that logical alignment completely masked the subtle irregularities beginning to creep into the architecture. Moving up the staircase, Abby naturally began running the mental math of a homebuyer. She was mapping out which room would catch the morning light and visualizing exactly how the space would function. This diagram shows the second floor layout. A wide landing branches out, leading clearly to 4 distinct bedroom doors. Tom guided her through in sequence, the second, the third, and finally a 4th, before stepping into the master suite. Satisfied, she asked to use the ensuite restroom. She stepped inside, set her phone on the sink, and washed her hands. For a few minutes, she was entirely isolated from Tom and the rest of the hallway. That brief lapse in human observation gave the house a blind spot. With no one actively watching the landing, the physical geometry of the space quietly untethered itself from reality. When she stepped back out into the master bedroom, the agent was gone. She called out his name but heard nothing except the rain hitting the window glass. Looking down the landing, the wide floorboards and neutral paint were exactly the same, but the door to the 4th bedroom had completely vanished. Where a full-sized bedroom should be anchored, there was now only a shallow, narrow closet. Her immediate instinct was to check her phone. She knew she had taken pictures of the entire tour, hoping to find objective, time-stamped proof that the room had existed just minutes prior. Take a look at this camera roll. She had photos of the rooms, but the angles were entirely cut short. They only captured doorways and corners. There wasn't a single wide shot of the landing itself. When digital evidence falls short, logic begins to dissolve. She was looking at a solid wall where a door had been 30 seconds ago, and without a photo to prove the old layout, her only reference point was a memory the house was already working to erase. Abby hurried down the stairs, seeking the familiarity of the main floor. She needed to get back to a space she had already mapped and confirmed as safe. But the living room had changed too. Stacked neatly by the stone hearth were flattened hardware store moving boxes that had not been there during the initial walkthrough. This time, she didn't have to rely on her memory. She pulled up the specific photo of the fireplace she had taken for her mother at the start of the tour. This split screen shows the undeniable difference. On the left is the photo she took minutes ago, a clean, empty space. On the right, the physical reality in front of her, with moving boxes sitting right on the hearth. The environment was actively shifting around her. Abandoning the search for the agent, she turned away from the fireplace and moved toward the entryway to leave. But where the heavy wooden front door should be, there is now a seamless stretch of drywall and a wide window looking out at her car on the wet street. The moving boxes are staged inside, and the primary exit has been sealed. The house has rewritten its own geometry to remove the possibility of leaving, turning the craftsman into a closed loop with Abby inside it.